Okay, I just finished this, and I want to make this video as I still have fresh thoughts, although I'll probably do another one after this one. I'm going to make a list of things that I like to talk about, but this is finished. I'm going to call this finished for now. And this is finished. Not just for now, but it's finished. I even signed it. I went over the printed signature with more paint, and I accentuated it. So this was an interesting project. Let me try to frame this better. That's pretty good. This was an interesting project because I had to use acrylics. After doing a lot of research, I realized that to enhance a Giclee on canvas, it's better to use acrylics first than oil, which is why I had a nightmare experience with other ones before when I just used oil directly. Here I used acrylic, and I was initially anti-acrylic, and I extensively expressed my disdain for detail work using acrylic. And what happened here was all I did was detail work. So it's another one of those things that I didn't really foresee. It just became that way. Because I have experience with paint in general, and with acrylics and oil and other forms of paint like gouache and watercolor to some extent, and markers, I knew how to use the paint. It was just a matter of preference. I had to learn how to become really fast at working as I went, because if I went at an oil paint pace, I'd look at the palette and the paint was dry. So this forced me to up my game and just deal with it. So all this was detail work. I went from bitching about how I hated acrylics and how I used them only broadly to all I used them for here was the main event detail work. I don't see any reason now to go over this with oil. I see no point to it. It would just take more time that I don't have. And it would add some value, but not enough for me to want to do it. I'm very happy with the outcome. I'm going to follow up and make a list of things that were revealed to me, like what glazing does to the paint, my ballet dance between mixing color, using glaze medium to get the paint to push farther, and then thinning it with water. That became the ballet dance that I had to master. I had to keep the paint wet enough to move around, but I couldn't thin it out too much because then it wouldn't have much color. It would just be so thin I'd have to apply 8 coats of it. So I had to keep the paint opaque enough for the time and the paint strokes to matter, but I couldn't keep it so opaque, which I was doing in the beginning. Making it so opaque, I would have to scumble everything. So that's another note I'm going to make. I went from scumbling, because I made a lot of comments about how I scumbled a lot of these clouds. Of course, this angle makes the glare shine off that area because I use lots of glaze on it later. But I was scumbling a lot of it initially just to get my bearings on how to use this paint again, because I hadn't used acrylic in so long I was out of practice. So this forced me into upping my game and dealing with reality. So it's finished. It's finally finished. It took 4 days. One of the days was really loathsome. The second day was very difficult. Didn't do much that day but think and feel trapped. And then this day was short, so it wasn't 4 full work days, but it took 4 days from beginning to now to work it out. So I have to remember that when I do it again. Give myself at least 4 days. It's a case by case basis, but give myself at least 2 to 4 days to embellish, because I don't just embellish and put dots of paint. I rework areas. At least I did here. I didn't make the painting necessarily better. I made it different. The original is the original, but a lot was done. I'm really happy. It's a strong work. I feel the areas I enhanced really work. And stay tuned for the next video where I'll have a list of items that I'd like to impart that changed me during this experience and may change you in how you think about approaching painting in general. Because this was more of a painting than an embellishment. This wasn't just an embellishment. This was a paint project, and it forced me out of a comfort zone, which I need to be doing, especially now. Okay, see you next video.